Hello guys, welcome back. Welcome to part 3 of this M911 C-HET build. Darting around with these instructions a bit because of all the stop starting with having to wait for stuff to dry and that. So I've been sort of going forward and making axles and suspension units and air tanks and stuff. But now I've gone back to where we were. So the sprue glue's dried, I've glued on these members and they've all set. I haven't glued the ends here yet because I don't know how they're going to engage with other parts, so that'll get done as and when. So now we can go back to the point where we've got the chassis here, the chassis of the trailer, and I've got to fit this piece on the top here, which goes into some pegs after much cleanup, and basically then these pieces go on the sides, and I've got this little piece to go inside here. So basically this is going to be, once again, this is going to be a case of clamping it all in place, I think, and then gluing it up. So going to need plenty of close pegs here. Again, you need to look at this, loads of ejector pins with raised edges. Need to be careful of those because they're going to stop it all going together. I've come to the decision this kit is not for the beginner. Definitely not, because you're going to really come unstuck if you're brand new to the hobby and you don't have the ability to identify, you know, the way molding works and what to look out for and how things don't fit and do fit. And yeah, I wouldn't suggest this kit as being you know, 100% suitable for the beginner. So that's all clamped in place now, and I need to make sure, and what I'll do is, you've got this joint here, you can see where I'm flexing it, opens and closes. I'm not going to glue that now. I'll glue that once we add, there's a piece that goes on the top here like so. So once I add that, then I'll glue that to make sure that it's all solid. If I glue it now, you've got the weight of the pegs is pulling it apart. So I'm going to use some of the quick setting extra thin in here, purely for its faster drying properties, you know, so that we can get on with this and start to make some headway on it, because you know, it's quite slow going at the moment actually. It's what is it today? It's Saturday the 23rd of February. So lovely sunny morning. Really probably too sunny to be sat in here doing modelling. I should probably be outside, but I do want to get this done. Oh, and one thing, I went to the pub last night. None of my friends were there, stood at the bar, just sort of watching some racing and stuff on my iPhone, and I bit these nails. I bit that one, and that one. So you can see how they were coming along, just how these are coming along, and I bit that one off, and I bit that one off, and I bit that one off. So I'm really angry with myself. Of course, I had a shower before I went out, and I forgot to put any of the nail biting stuff on, which tastes disgusting. If I'd have done that, I wouldn't have been. But it just shows you, just, you know, you get miles away, stood there, you know, like I say, watching some racing, and unbelievable. Watching the IMSA racing from the States with the GT4 Mustangs and stuff, which I'm really, really chuffed about. Really chuffed. They're actually coming to this country this year. In England, they're going to be racing in a GT4 championship, and yeah, really looking forward to that. So I'm really hoping and praying, keeping fingers crossed, and please keep your fingers crossed for me, guys. Tamiya have announced a GT4 Mustang radio controlled car, and we all know they've also done the Ford GT, so they've obviously got the license from Ford to make their products. So I'm hoping and praying that they will make a 2015-2017 Mustang, and then make a model of the GT4 car as well. So really hoping they do that. So if you're listening, Tamiya, I very much doubt you are, but if you are, please can we have that model? That would be wonderful. I'll buy 50 of them. No, I won't buy 50, I'll buy 10. So yeah. Right, so I'll let that go off now, and I'll be back with you in a sec. Right, let's see if this glue's dried up on here. It's been about 15 minutes. So yeah, it's clamped up on the front, that's what I'm looking for. So now we've got these side pieces that go on. You can see here we've got K36 and K31. So this is this side. So that's going to go in there. We've got some, oh, there should be some pins on there, but there aren't. There are on that one, but not on that one. So that's just going to glue on there, and then that will come up together like that. Okay, this one has got the pins. So they go like that, and then this will come up to meet it. So what I'm tempted to do is glue this to here, not to here, and let that go off, and then bring all this together when we put that top piece on, as I said earlier. So I think that's what I'll do. I'll glue this, so I get my good old blackened extra thin, get some in there onto those pins. So that should stay in like that. There's a million parts to this chassis. Well, maybe not a million, but probably 900,000. So we'll get some plenty of extra thin in there, make sure that's all gone in the right place. This is going to need to be nice and strong here, because sat on the back of the truck, that's going to be levering on there all the time, especially if you put a big old tank on there like an M88 or something that's going to be quite weighty. It's just going to crack it all if it's not all good and strong. Okay, so that's like that now, and that's still free to move around, because I haven't actually glued this to this, so it can all be set together. That right, so this one here goes on, but it has no alignment pins. I'll have to check back in the video. I don't recall cutting those pins off, so maybe I did, I don't know. I very much doubt it. And by the way guys, there's some massive ejector pins on the back of these. You can see in there, so I should have showed you before I glued them on, that they need to be cut off. They stick out beyond those little protrusions, so they'll affect the fit. So be careful of that when you're building this. And I haven't had any responses to my question. I don't know if anyone can tell me why the Hobby Boss kit is being offered these days for stupid prices. Like, I've seen it for £69 for a kit this size. That's crazy. So I'm thinking there must be something wrong with it. So if any of you guys know, I mean, I don't think it's a very popular subject in the UK. I'm not sure about America, but I don't think there's a million people out there rushing out to buy one. Make sure they square up there. So that's that. Now, when this goes on, okay, just checking if these aren't perfectly square. I was wondering if that would fit okay, and there's nothing that goes down in there, so it should be absolutely fine if they aren't perfect. But, try and get them right if you can. And also this part here, L62, which is this little part here, I'm going to leave that until I've glued the top, because obviously, oh no, actually it does go inside there. I thought that was going to affect the position, so that can go in as well now. So that one's going to go in that way, like so. There's the tweezers. So it's going to go in there like that. So that's in that, it matches that side then, that one. So a bit of extra thin on there. Bit on the other end, and a brush down the top. And there we go, that's that in. Right, so leave them to go off now. Seems to be just, this model is, what you need to do is have this on this bench and have another bench over here and be building something else, because every time you glue two parts on, you need to wait for half an hour. So, my dog's about to go mental. I think the postman's about to put a letter through the door, which is such a heinous crime. Right, that's a heinous crime. Biting those nails off. I'm really annoyed myself. Okay, so leave that to go off there, and then you can see here what I mean about that glue with the dye in it. You can see it's gone all the way down there. Now if you didn't have dye in it, you wouldn't know. So while we're waiting for various bits and pieces to dry, as this is the whole bloody theme of this whole model, I thought I'd go on and do these axles. I've done one. You see one has been assembled here, and as again with every other part of this model, it's in pegs. You need a lot of pegs and a lot of clamps for this kit. If you don't have any pegs or clamps, don't start it. You need to go and get some. So I'm looking at assembling the rear suspension units. This is way forward from where we were just now doing the actual chassis itself. So yes, we've got this part here, H21, and it doesn't say to not glue it, but I'm not gluing it because I want it to swivel, because it needs to fit in the chassis here, and obviously you don't know what position it needs to be, so we need to make sure that's not glued. And I have a little tip for you guys. That's something I've discovered. With this quick setting, you can put this in areas, and you know that sometimes where you get areas like this where you have to assemble them and you've got a part in between that needs to swivel, you can put the glue on there. They just keep turning the part that may have some glue oozed onto it, and you'll feel it's got a rubbery, and all of a sudden bang, it just frees off. And yeah, it's wonderful for that. It doesn't seem to weaken. Obviously if you flood it, it's gonna weaken it, but just that little bit that oozes on, rather than leaving it and having it find the next day it's set hard, you can feel it kind of like almost like it's got a resistance on it, and then bang, it just lets go, and it's very handy for that. So I'll show you that now, if I get any glue on it. Now these are a very tight fit. They got all these bolt heads, and you can see here, I will show you, you've got ejector pin marks that need to be sanded out. They are just visible around the gaps, but you know, I'm not going to worry about that. And then you've got lots of flash and bits and pieces on the back of here. There's the postman. There's the dog ripping the post out the door. So she never tears it up, she just likes to rip it out the door. So yeah, they're you can hear them sort of clip together. They're a very tight fit. And then this is going to go in here. So this pivots around there. So what I'm going to do is just hold this together and put some of this quick setting extra thin on either side, like so. And you can see I'm not particularly being sparing or going careful or anything. And then what you'll see here, it's worked. That's got some glue on it, and I can feel that it's all rubbery. And then all of a sudden, let's get some little clamps on there. This is the biggest problem with this model, getting clamps to stay in anything. So I can feel that is, obviously I can't show you that it's stiff, but you can see it's not it's not rotating freely. It'll stop wherever. But if I just keep turning it, once the glue sets, it doesn't take long. It's probably less than a minute. And in a minute this will just free off, and you'll see that it will become as free as if it was bone dry. Like watching paint dry this, isn't it, guys? There we go. That's as free as anything now. So yeah, that's there's a little tip for you. If you're putting glue in places where something needs to pivot, use the quick setting, and yeah, that's as free as anything. And then you can afford to get a bit on there, and then it'll just come off afterwards. And then what I need to do here is find some more clothes pegs. I can take these two off, I think. Peg this together. In fact, nope, they're not strong enough because it's quite a tight fit. I've got these reverse. If you look here, I make these out of I learnt this off a guy on YouTube, a Bristolian guy, I can't remember his name now, but you basically take a clothes peg, reverse the wooden parts, and you end up with it that way round, and it makes them a lot stronger. So that's held together like that. So we can get some glue on this side. Again, we can flood it if we need to, because this would have been a welded or cast structure anyway. You can hear that clip together with the clothes peg. And then when you actually come to fit the axle, it's just as tight again, because it's, what they've done, it's very nice. They've done these flanges around these bolt heads and stuff, and it all looks great when it's built, but it just makes for a very, very tight, very complicated assembly. Well, not complicated, busy. And there we go, guys, that's that done. Just a quick check on that pivot. Yep, see, that's free as anything. Job done. I'm going to put a peg in the middle there. Just hold that together. So there you go, 1, 2, 3, 5 clamps on there. So I've currently got 5 clamps on there. I've got 4 clamps on there. I've got 2 clamps on here. It's just Peg City. What I've done here, I fitted this top piece, not glued it, clamped it down to enable me to glue these sides in on here. I'll show you on this side, it'd probably be easier. Just glue these sides in, just to make sure it's all going to sit nice in here. One tip for you guys, if I were you, those pins that were on the inside of there, that this part fits on, I'd cut them off, because it makes the part sit a bit too high. I've had to unglue it and pull it back down, so it's probably those pins that are pulling it up. So there we go. So I've done that axle now, or that beam should I say, and then this actual axle beam will then this beam here will glue on like that. And as I said, you can see the very tight way it goes around all these bolts and everything. And this part here, is it G19? Yeah, G19. Need to be careful not to break that off. One more thing to note, guys, I should have told you before, I forgot. These cross members here, they're not actually glued in, and that enables me to be able to twist the chassis. Because when I glue the top on, then I want to get it down on onto a flat base and put weights on everything on it to hold it flat. And also, gluing these in, these parts here, they glue in kind of like that, if you like. They glue in like over the end of them, so I've been gluing these into place. So if I fit them at the same time as I fit the top, or after I fitted the top, then I can clamp everything down, glue these in place, clamp everything down, and then I know it'll all be flat and straight and true. But as you can see now, the trailer, I've glued the main chassis to the top of the trailer, the basic, the ramp part that the tank sits on, and that's all weighted down now with metal blocks to keep that nice and flat. I had to put these front outriggers on here because they hook over a member underneath, so you need to make sure they're on before you do this. The rest will go in afterwards somehow. I've put the wheels together. They're a pain. There's basically, I should have left one to show you, but there's basically flash inside on this. It almost looks like it's unfinished, like there should be something else there. There's something else to glue on. But yeah, there's flash all around here, around this down in here. So I've made these chisels for removing the ejector pin marks on the Lancaster. If you go back, you'll see I've basically just ground up some old Swan Morton blades and turned them into a chisel. I managed to get in there and scrape that off. It's on every single wheel, and also all around here, all around there was a, you can see where there's still something left. I haven't made that much fuss of it because it goes inside a brake drum, like so. Here's a brake drum. I've made one up. There it is with its air cylinders on it, actuators. And a word of note on that, actually, I'm going to show you something in the instructions to be aware of, particularly for the newer modelers amongst us. Where is it where we make these up? Here we go. Bit of a faux pas by Meng, really. You've got your parts here, G14, and then you've got your G8 and G36, and then G36 and G9. So you can see there's a difference in the two parts. And then when they show you this, they show you how it should look end on. Now, don't get caught out, because this picture here, if you look closely, in this one they've got the lug at the top, and in here they've got the lug at the bottom. So when you actually look at it, that's G36 and that's G9. It's not how it looks there, it's flipped over. So make sure you do that. I've also got these units here built up. I've added those. So once this is all gone off and I've got the outriggers and everything in, then I'll come back and we'll go through fitting all the suspension and that together. I'm still banging on through this and it feels like I'm getting nowhere fast. So slowly getting all the bits and pieces of the chassis glued together. These pieces go in easy after it's all glued on, but you do need to add these first, and if you can, try and just glue them to these cross members rather than glue them to these rails, because that will allow you then to, as I did, put weight on the chassis, hold it all nice and flat, and then glue it all up while it's all held flat. And what I've got now is a dead true, dead flat chassis. So yeah, happy about that. These bits here are a bit of a pain. They tell you in the instructions to put them on back at step, where are we? Here we go. They tell you to put them on back at step 31. My serious suggestion would be leave them until after you fitted the main bed, because basically they go on, but they need to be lined up with the chassis here and here. And I had one of mine, this one was slightly out, and as a result it pulled this member out, so it was kind of like that. So my advice is leave them off, these two parts here, until after you've glued all this together, and then put them on. And like I did, don't glue these down. When you glue these on, see, I still haven't glued these yet. These are glued down now, but leave these unglued, and then they can fall where they need to fall. Like there, you can see they've gone into some slots here, and then they go into slots in these parts, which actually they actually lines everything up, you know, basically. So yeah, it's a bit of jiggery pokery. There's a lot of clamping and gluing, and sort of take your time and try not to do everything at once, because you know, you like with this, I glued all this here, clamped it all in place, glued it, let it all go off for like, you know, half an hour, then left these legs unglued, and then clamped all these and glued them. And you can see, I mean, everywhere I'm going I'm using 6, 8, 10 clamps. So yeah, and also don't forget these horrible ejector pin marks. As you can see now, they are pretty visible. you know, if you look at the model on the deck, you're not going to see them, but looking at it from the side, a couple of them were quite deep, so they would be visible, especially with the wash and everything. They'll stick out like a sore thumb, and particularly if you're doing it in the desert camo. So that's that. These brakes, as I said earlier, be careful of which way you make them. There are you know, there's different orientations there. You can see they've got an A and a B. I can't remember which is which now, but you can see they're different. You've got the different orientations on them. So yeah, remember that one. And also another thing to look for in the back, this one's got it as well. You can see there's actual flash around the edge. These wheels and brakes are covered in flash and ejector pin flash. And then down inside there you can see there's 3 ejector pin marks, and you can see one of them's got some flash on. So again, using my chisel that I've made from a ground blade, I'm just going to get in there and just scrape that away, because if you don't take that away, when you put the wheels on, that hub there sits on top of the flash, and I've just broken that brake off. So yeah, you need to make sure that you get all the flash out, and also there's flash all around there, as I said earlier. So make sure you get all your flash and your ejector pin flash out before you assemble. But these actually go, they've got poly caps inside them, and they go onto metal axles, which is really nice. A lot of people don't like metal axles because they're kind of toy-like, but I love them because it means you can take the wheels on and off to paint easily. It holds your wheels square, so they're not going to be all floppy and wonky. It's easy to get them, you know, if you need to bend them around or whatever and get them square, you can. And you know, and it's bloody strong. If you put a big M88 on this, you know, it's going to be quite a bit of weight. So, you know, I'm glad they've done that. I'm glad they've put metal axles in there. It's nice and simple, easy for assembly, take apartable, and yeah. So I'll get some more work done on the suspension. These are ready to sort of pretty much go on now. Hey guys, right, so where are we now? I fitted all the suspension up, fitted all these beams in. The airbags are just placed in, they're not glued, and that way I got a bit of flexibility. So just in case everything's not quite true, at least I know what's on all its wheels. These peaks here are very tight fit, a really nice fit. They clip in behind a ledge there, and they clip in behind a ledge there. Make sure they clip in. Sorry, there they clip in behind the ledge. Make sure they clip in, because that actually holds the back into position. If you just push them in and don't have them clip in, then they don't sort of do anything really. So yeah, that's a good one from Meng. That's really nice, very positive part. This axle here, this is not glued. These pivots aren't glued, these pivots aren't glued, and that allows you to, that axle to float. If you notice, that axle's got no suspension, so that one's taking most of the weight when you've got the tank in the middle here, and I guess the back can be let down to let them off. These air tanks are really nice, bit of a cleanup obviously because they're circular, but then when you actually look at them, it's only really the front one that you can see, so don't really worry too much about that. You've got this lovely pipework down in here, which is really nice, all moulded plastic rather than bits of vinyl hose, which is lovely. Glad they've gone away from that vinyl like they used on their Smirch. Didn't like that at all, because it's impossible to remove the seam lines. So yeah, we've still got a lot of work to do, and I'll be honest with you, this trailer is getting me down. It's just endless, part after part after part after part, and it just seems to be not changing now. It just seems to be adding little bits and pieces. And now what I've got to do is go and do all these little greeblies and stuff, all the lights and all that. So that's all going to be fun. I've assembled all the wheels, as you know, and I thought I'd have a quick look at the tyres. And the tyres are, gladly they've got the spider in the middle that you trim out yourself, rather than like some manufacturers are now having their people do it for them, and making a right mess. So yeah, you trim these out yourself, but it's a bit weird how they fit. I think they're going to need to be super glued on, because they go around the outside of this. You can see on the wheel you've got this outer flange rather than having a sort of rim to hold the tyre into. So the tyre sort of pops on over the top of that one like that, and then you kind of pull it back until it goes on there, and then it just sort of sits there, and it's very, very easy, like very easy to knock it out of place. So I'm assuming they need to be super glued on, and then when you actually look at them, they look sort of almost like ballooned, like a, you know, one of those lowered stance cars, like where they used a rim too wide for the tyre. But I guess that's how they're supposed to be. Please tell me in the comments if you know. But I'm assuming they're going to have to be super glued on, so probably really the best way to do this is going to be to paint the wheel, then try and sort of super glue the tyre on. I guess the thing to do is to put some super glue on the outer rim, push it on, hold it there, and then deal with the inside after that won't be seen. But yeah, not the best, Meng. You could have done better than that, I think. Like they could have moulded a sort of groove into the tyre that sits over that, rather than just have it just sat on the outside of it. I know it doesn't go on the inside of it, because then you'd get that sort of thing, and that looks ridiculous. So if you're building this, you might want to start thinking about resin wheels, or I don't know what the Hobby Boss wheels and tyres are like, but that might be the decider for you, rather than this one. I mean, this Hobby Boss is already like half the price of this kit, kind of, with the special offers I've seen. So yeah, a bit disappointed in those. I hope the truck tyres are better. So I've also got the seal I've got to clean up on about 9 million wheels. So we've got that to deal with. I've also made a start on the ramps. That's what you'll find you do with this. You keep going forward when you keep having to stop. But it looks like now all the major work's done, so I won't have to keep stopping. I can just go through now. And but yeah, the ramps are here. Quite a complex little assembly. And they'll go together beautifully, and then they pivot on the back. Right, moving along. We've got these rear lights done now. We've got the reflectors in the middle, turn indicators and rear lights, and these here, I'm guessing they're in reflectors that flipped out or something. I don't know. But I'll tell you what, guys, these little bits like this is the kind of stuff that saps the life out of me, because it's just endless adding tiny bits of plastic. And I commend Meng for the fantastic work they've done in getting the detail in there. But it's just so many tiny parts. The bit that really gets me is whenever you come to fit anything, it requires cleanup. So like if you look at this part here, this is H5, this is for the front turn signal. You've got two of these, so you nip it off the sprue and you've got this, obviously you've got this sprue bit here to clean up. But then when you turn it over and you look, you can see that next to that pin there's an ejector pin mark, and it's got a raised flange all around it, so you've got to clean that off. And then when you come to actually fit the, you've got this this part here, which obviously in real life slides in and out, and you've got the light going on the end of there, so you nip that off the sprue, clean it up, great. And then you've got this light here, G10, which goes onto the end of that. But in the back of that, you've got an ejector pin mark with a raised flange all around it, so you've got to get in there and clean that up. And it's just like, for Christ's sake, man, come on. Every single one of these parts on these small lights, I have had to clean off. Like where this light here goes on, in fact I can show you, the back of these lights, look, you've got a load of flash around there, that needs cleaning off. And then on the back of here you've got an ejector pin, which has got the a raised flange all around it. And then if I can find them, there's probably going to be some more. There's like a light box that goes into, no, but the light box that goes into, that's got another flange on it as well, with a great big piece of a big flange of plastic around the edge of the ejector pin mark. So it's just like, come on, you know, it's almost like this kit wasn't made by Meng. It's strange, but anyway, I shall persevere. Okay, I've got the stands fitted now to the front. I've got them in the retracted position, and as you can see, we've got photo etch brackets, which is nice because they just bend open to fit them, and then you bend them close around them. So yeah, you can see on the instructions here that you've basically got the same parts. You just fit them either into these upper stays here, or you fit them into these lower ones here. So that's a nice little touch. The actual foot plates, I've done those. The parts don't fit the slots are very wide that the parts go in, so I've put some Mr. Surfacer in there to fill those gaps up, and I'll leave that for a little while. It's actually 5 o'clock in the morning at the moment, and I've been working on this. It's about 2:30. It's Monday morning, Sunday night. I couldn't sleep, so I got up and continued with the video for this. So when I first came on and spoke to you earlier, if my voice sounded a bit croaky, that's why, because it was about 2:30 in the morning. So I'm going to leave this for now. I'm going to go and have a bit of kip, I think. Otherwise I'll be up till 7 or 8, be knackered, go to bed, and then I'll spend the rest of the day in bed. So leave this for now, let that Mr. Surfacer go off. I need to cross these parts off that I've used, which is quite satisfying, because I'm just going through and trying to make sure I've used every single part up, and not a lot left now, so we're getting there. But like I say, guys, this is painful. This is just endless adding parts, just adding small parts, you know, tiny little brackets, more tiny little brackets, and then, you know, more little mountains and brackets and all these handles and stuff like this. And the other thing that makes it such a pain, it's like if you look here, I've got on this page, I've got sprue H, sprue L, sprue G, you know, and then when you come to do things like this, you've got to find L52, H20, and then you've got G11 going on it. So it's kind of, and there's K as well. So you've got H, J, K, L, and G. So yeah, brilliant. So that's a bit soul destroyed as well. I'm just whinging now, probably because it's late and I'm tired. But yeah, it's my advice to you is, if you've got this kit and you fancy picking it up and doing it, if your mojo's suffering a little bit, don't bother, because this will kill you off, I think. Actually kill you off, kill your mojo off anyway. So anyway, I'll be back in a minute. At last, the trailer is done. Yes, I've lost it. This thing has driven me round the twist. So I hope you enjoyed a bit of singing there. So yeah, finally it's done. Other than, I haven't added the inner tyres because I'm only going to take them off anyway. The spare wheel isn't glued down. I've got a little bit of Mr. Surfacer I need to rub down here. We've got the chains on the back. I'm going to try and move this around on the board without actually doing anything. We've got the chains here, you can see on the back. Let me get my pointy thingy. We've got the chains here on the back, they're just placed in place, and also the ramps aren't glued on yet. I want to do a bit of Mr. Surfacer work on them. Moving round, hopefully you can see what I was talking about with the tyres. They look pretty good on a drift car. They stick out of the bodywork, and they bulge quite a bit. Don't know if I could bring you in there, but yeah, there you go. You can see they stick out, and they've got this kind of stance look about them. The piece of tape on the back, there's a block in there, and I've just put the tape on so that when I turn it over, it doesn't fall over and fall out and get snapped off. So yeah, we've got the spare tyre on the front there, as you can see. My usual trick, what I do with a tank transporter, I'll always paint the spare wheel a different colour. So that'll probably be like a satin black or something, and maybe a bit of flaking on it. I haven't put these air fittings on yet because they'll get snapped off. They're absolutely tiny, and as you know, I showed you all the brass bits there, and the legs are on there. They can all move about. We've got a photo etch panel that goes over here to cover that up. But obviously I'm going to paint all in there before I fit that. And there's a few bits of tools and accessories and stuff that goes on. And as you can see, we've got the mesh down in the bottom there where all the tools go. So you can see we've got the back of the ramps here with the reflectors and the lights. I haven't obviously put the light lenses on yet where they're applicable. I'll paint the whole model first and then paint them silver, put some clear red on the lenses, and then put the lenses in with some of this stuff, which is quite good. Although I don't think it's as good as crystal clear, although I still haven't tried it, but I hear crystal clear is awesome, so I must get myself some. So there we go. So that's the trailer all but done. These are the spare parts. You can see we got a few wheel rims, some lights, a few bits and pieces, all handy for the spares box. And then these are the bits and pieces of tools and accessories. There's some wooden blocks here, which I've gone over the ends and extended the wood planking down, and then added some wood grain effect to it. I don't know if you can pick that up. If you can get that, there's some wood grain effect on there on the end, and then I also dragged it down on the sides. I just do that with a razor saw. What else have we got? Oh, we got a little axle stand, which is nice. That's got a photo etch base, and I've soldered that, so that'll get chucked in the tools. Another wooden block there. There's a block and tackle thing here, like a ratchet type thing. Obviously that's not cleaned up yet, but that'll get abused and chucked in there. And then we've got these things, these little block things. There's 8 of those, and they go down the sides of the trailer like that. So or they get chucked in the toolbox. And then we've got mallet and some other bits and pieces, and that's basically it, guys. So yeah, the trailer is done. I would say I've probably spent 25 hours on this. And I'm so pleased it's done, because I'll tell you what, once you get the actual main frame of the trailer done, as I said, it's just like, you know, taking parts off the sprue, cleaning them up, getting rid of the ejector pin flash, get another part off the sprue, clean it up, get rid of the ejector pin flash, put it together. I mean, each one of these light assemblies took me like 40 minutes, I think, 30 minutes. It's just ridiculous. And you know, what you need is a break in between, but I've just been really desperate to get this done so I can get the video done and get it out there. I think I'll have a little break away from it now, and then I'll get on the tractor unit. That's sort of pretty much done. The chassis and suspension's all done anyway. So yeah, once I've got that done, then I'll do some paint. Haven't decided on a scheme yet. What I might do is do the truck like in the tricolour camo. I'll do the trailer in the desert, or vice versa, or put some sort of desert wheels on a tricolour scheme. Just mix and match it up a bit, you know, a bit of interest in it. So I'll have to check the references and see what's about. But yeah, some of it is a bit strange. I don't know if any of you guys know this truck well. This looks like it's got something missing. It just looks, it's just, I mean, I can move it now because you've seen it all, but yeah, there's looks like there's something missing there. And also, I mean, if we look underneath, well, you've seen underneath the details quite amazing. And obviously, like I say, I've left all these axles all movable, so you can guarantee it sits on its wheels, and you can put some weight on it and it'll go down on that air suspension as well. So there we go, guys. Hope you've enjoyed this little build. Sorry I've been moaning about it, but it's not been an enjoyable build. One of the guys, I think, was it John? You'll see in part 2, this is part 3, part 2, one of my subscribers commented it's not a fun build, and it really isn't. It's not enjoyable at all. It just really saps your enthusiasm. So I'm looking forward to doing something different now. So yeah, thanks for watching. This has been part 3. Please like, please subscribe. Tell me what you think in the comments. Tell me what you want to see me do, and I'll see you all later. Bye for now.